Good morning, Nick Collier here, and we are still plugging along at this cable pull project, or sewer slinger project, which is what it's called on YouTube. We've gotten fairly far. I showed you yesterday where we went. We need to do a couple more things. Yeah, more like a dozen more things. But the next step we need to take in this process comes in making a bracket that my customer can pick this entire thing up with a backhoe and swing it over and drop it down into the hole. Now he needs to be able to grab it somewhere, and he needs to be able to grab it somewhere in the right positions, because once it goes down in the hole, it's pretty much just going to sit there. So, and they don't want to move it around because this lower part, this upper part weighs about 200 pounds and this part weighs about 100 pounds. And so, you got 300 or 400 pounds sitting there. Nobody's going to be able to move it around. So I'm going to spin you down here and see where we're going next. Down, down, down. There we go. Now I've marked out a piece of metal and then I'm going to cut a hole here and then taper this down here and then weld this to the center of this piece of steel here. Now, but first, before I weld it, I'm going to need to attach this to the bottom, or to the tops of these rams. Well, in a sense, the bottom, but it will be the top. And notice how the ram maker wasn't exactly accurate with how he placed his holes, but we can work around that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to drill one hole and make it the size that I can put a bolt in it, and put a bolt in and set the bolt up so that it's holding this thing in position. Then I'm going to take a second bolt on the lathe and I'm going to sharpen the tip of it and just kind of make a cone out of it, cut off the bottom of it, and then screw it in backwards to another hole, and then swing this up where I want it to go, and then wang it with a sledgehammer or something that's going to put a dent in the back side of this piece of metal. Then I'll know where my next hole is, because there will be a little center punch there. Sound good? Then do that for the rest of the other two. And then once I get that, then cut off the ends, figure out where I want to cut it off, and probably put a little 45, because everything else has got 45s on it, and clean it up a bit, and then take it over and weld my what would you call it? Not an O-ring by any means, but an O-clip or something like that to the top of the plate. Then we can just bolt it right back to there, and we'll have our holder. So stick with me. Hey, we're going to have a little fun. Okay, this is really not the first step, but this is the first step I can do, because my wife is, it's fairly early in the morning. It's like 7 o'clock or a little after, and my wife is outside meditating, and I have promised her not to turn any heavy machinery on for an hour, till 8 o'clock. But this little lathe is so quiet. Listen, just like hardly makes any noise. So I'm hoping this is not going to bother her. So far I've been able to get away with it. So we're just going to kind of come in and we're just going to trim this off as much as possible. And what we're creating is our threaded center punch, in a sense. we go. Easy as pie. So we've got ourselves a threaded center punch there, and we'll take that over and put it next to the project, and we'll be able to deal with it in a little while. I got all my angles squared up and in the vise, and then what I did is just took a straight edge and went from corner to corner to corner to corner, and I found my center point. So then I came up against this edge here with a square and did a 90-degree right up the center. Now what I want to do is find out how much room is between here and here and here and here, and then put that same amount of room up there. So we're going to go with a 2-inch circle, and let's see if we can do it with a pencil. I don't know, will a pencil mark? A little bit. That's about right there. Okay. And we can get up a little closer there. That looks like about right. And in reality, we really don't need the pencil to mark. All we need to do is find out where our center line is here. And it's going to be right about there. And that looks pretty good. And since I'm going to come down anyway, let's just come down and set up a place. Of course, I'm going to have to move you. Get my cute little pointer and put it in there. As far as I can tell, that looks pretty good. Maybe up a little bit, just a little. Okay. So we're good. We're going to lock our gibs down. Bring it back up. Throw a drill bit or two in there. Okay, well, we're drilling that hole. I got 3 of my bolts in place, and I got the 4th, the center punch thingy set up on the 4th bolt. Just whack it. Oh, and I also put some dicum on the contact place where that 4th bolt is going to be, because the center punch, you know, of course it's soft metal, and it's not exactly hitting where I want it to hit. Oh, there it goes. So it just made a slight dent in the ink itself. We're going to take that over to the drill while this other drill is drilling, and we'll go ahead and drill that out. Okay, we're on our way in with what does it look like? Maybe a 7/8, could be a 1 inch. Well, it almost made it. We'll zero out. We'll get our table out of the way. Put our drill bit in. Okay, tighten everything back up. Okay, so totally spaced out, turning the camera on as usual. Cut off my corners to kind of give it a little bit more even effect with the rest of the unit. Cut my hole, cut a pattern for my ring so that we can slide a chain in there, put it up on the backhoe, pick the whole thing up. I've got my center line right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat this and take it up to about 200 or 300 degrees, and then make sure that my center line is there. Come in and just tack that one point right there, and then come in with the hammer and square the thing up, and then tack the other side, and then get it solid, and then come in with an arc welder and arc weld both sides of that, and that should give us more than enough material to hold that piece. So I think it's time to preheat. We'll get a 300-degree stick. Oops, let's get this stick out so we can get to it. There we go. Yeah. And at the same time, I got two extra holes in this piece of material because it's a recycled piece of material, and I'm going to just throw a quick tack right into the holes just to kind of fill the hole up. And then we'll come in afterwards and grind it off. Okay, we've gotten to the smaller piece up to temp. Now all we got to do is get the bigger piece going here. Okay, we're there. Yeah, good. And that's 375, which is on the high end of the temperature gauge, so it can sit around for a little bit while I fiddle with this. And we want to get this right close to center and fairly close to square. That looks pretty good. Yep, looks good. All right, so quick tap right in this bottom corner here, and let me get the gas rolling here just to get it bled in. And boy, that did not want to go, did it? All right, so now I can already see that it's out. That's better. Let's get a square. See what we can do here. A little bit too far. A little more. Ah, there we go. Now let's check it this way. And that's out. But I think what I want to do is weld that back corner again, or not again, but before I go any further, just so I've got the squareness this way worked out. There we go. Now, a little bit more. Just about right. A little too far. Ah, there we go. Check our squareness this way again. Yep. Set to go. All right, so turn our MIG off. Well, you know what? I think I want to put a little bit stronger weld in those corners, just because I can. All right, now everything should be in good shape. Yep. And yep. Let's turn on the arc. All right, we got to put gloves on for this. The MIG welder's got a certain strength to it, but the arc welder just, it's got pops and snaps and a whole ball game. Now the question is where's my other glove? All right, we ready? All right. So we got just a little bit of a weakness right down in the center there, but it's still good. I mean, it's just not enough weld, but I think we're good there. And this side's beautiful. So, and let's see if you can see that. Yes, you can. Okay. Let that cool off, and we'll go back over and put it on once it's cool. Well, it's the next morning. This is Nick Collier. We're still working on this little project here, or big project, as you might say. There's a bunch of little fiddly farty things that I got to deal with here. One of them is the fittings won't go all the way down in, so I need to make these holes bigger. Another one is the notch has to be dealt with. And what I'm working on right now is, let me get this readjusted for you. Rather than use these ugly ass hex bolts, I went and bought some real fancy Allen bolts. I mean, you know, this is what the guy is going to see. So he wants it to, he's going to just see that. He's not going to see all the other work. So, nice Allen bolts. The problem is, and I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to swing you around. The problem is that there's only, what, 1/4 inch between the bolt landing on the threads and the bolt going in and grabbing the threads. And I need to have just a little bit more than that. I mean, it's like, what, 2 turns? 1, 2, looks like 3, little over 3 turns. That's just not quite enough. So I think what I'm going to do is take this back off and countersink these so that the Allen will go about halfway down. So that'll add another 1/4 inch to it. That'll give us a good 1/2 inch. Then I'll be happy. So we're going to take this over to the mill and countersink those. And what else? What else are we going to do today? Well, I don't know. We may end up taking the whole thing apart. Let me swing you around. And knocking off these tabs, which I don't need any more, of course, and then resurfacing this edge here, or this face here, and then coming in and maybe pulling some of the weight off of the backside, because we got about 1.5 inches of material back there. Really not that necessary. That may be what we do today. That and drill the holes. So we'll be back. All right, so after a number of starts and stops, we finally got this thing rolling. And we're taking about, I don't know, 40, 50 thousandths at a pass. And because we gouged in right here, and you know, the whole thing just kind of went wacko on me, I've got to come back and take another pass to get this thing to clean up. So it's not that big a deal, but it's still, you know, a bit of an effort, as usual. Okay, we're down to the last couple of yards here, and then we'll have this side complete. Now I need to go over to the other side and take a certain amount of material off of there. It looks like what I've cut here is probably almost 1/4 inch, which drives me crazy. But I mean, it's still good and strong and everything. It's just that, you know, I got to go over to the other side and pull the same amount off of there in order to give it balance. So tomorrow we will be doing that, and then we're going to come in and probably take, I don't know, maybe 3/8 off the top of this, because there's a lot more material than is needed, and I want to reduce some of the weight I pull 3/8 off of there. I'm going to take 20 pounds off of this thing. So, hey, we're almost in there, and once we get there, we'll be complete for the day. All right, well, it's not bad. It's nice and even, and you know, all of this work, and I just found out the other day that he wants me to paint the whole thing. So, but you know, I want to do a good job, and part of that, who knows what the paint's going to do? It might cover over everything, but it might fill in just, you know, it might leave a pattern. So we're going to continue with this, and then, you know, take some pictures of it at the end. What the hell?